Alright, so recently there were some Beyonce and Michael Jackson comparisons. Jay-Z was in Miami's Radio 99 Jamz, and he called Beyonce the second coming of Michael Jackson, and I'm gonna read the quote. What I've learned from her is similar to what I've learned from Michael Jackson. I know that blasphemy to compare the two because Michael was such an innovator, but I think she's the second coming. You know, the hard work and dedication that she puts into her shows, it just makes you want to work harder at your own craft. She's like a machine. Do you guys think this is too premature?
I don't disagree, I just think it's a little bit premature.
If you look at where she could go, who else is in her category that has had the longevity thus far? You can't say Gaga because Gaga's relatively new to us. She's the closest on that path. I think we're still 10 years away from knowing whether or not she can actually truly get there. But I think that if you look at like where she is now, she continues on the path she's going, she could get there. She's not there now.
That's why I say it's premature.
What are you talking about as far as there? Like what's
Here,
there?
the whole comparison to the greatness of MJ. But when I say the greatness, I mean the entire aura, the worldwide effect that he had, that he was actually the king of pop. I think that Bey could get there.
I'm not sure that can happen.
Why not?
I remember what Mike did to the planet Earth.
I think that people tense up when they hear comparisons. When they hear the phrase "the next," I think they tense up because they don't actually listen to what's being said. I think they get caught up in the next. The next does not mean the replacement for. And that doesn't mean the one coming is the carbon copy of the first one. It simply means in the vein of, in the aura of, along those lanes.
He said the second coming. To me, that would imply that she would set the world on fire the way he did. And to date, she hasn't done that.
Which Mike are you comparing that to? Because if you really want to be real, you could compare today's Beyonce with the off-the-wall Mike.
I don't see the thriller.
He said she was the second coming. So in terms of longevity, in terms of starting from a child star, growing into an adult star, continuously innovating, selling out stadiums, making people go absolutely apeshit for your product, who else but her?
When Usher was at his height with Confessions, nobody made those.
Usher wasn't hot until My Way.
Usher never had.
That's a matter of opinion. Usher has never had a crutch to lean on. He's never been a part of a band. When he came out, he went for self. He's been for self. And he consistently took it notches and notches higher at Confessions. And no one made that comparison.
Early Usher didn't have ABC. Early Usher didn't have Bootylicious.
Early Usher had Call Me a Mac.
Early Usher, he had Bad Boy, he had Puff. Where that mirrors is that early Michael had Berry Gordy and had Motown. And he took a lot more of his independent stuff from that influence than the Jackson 5. I personally think that that's a ridiculous comparison. I think that Usher is a great artist who has made a huge impact, but I don't see the worldwide response to Usher as they do of Beyonce. I think the only comparison was that Usher started when he was young, like Mike.
Usher can't be compared to Michael Jackson, and taking nothing away from Usher, but Usher hasn't had the consistency that Michael had. And I think that's really the biggest basis of comparison as well for Michael and Beyonce. Aside from the longevity, is the consistency in that longevity. While he's been around, there have been peaks and valleys. Beyonce, Michael, both on a steady trajectory, whereas Usher's kind of gone up, come down, really hit a stride around My Way, but then kind of lost it on the Raymond versus Raymond album. You know, like so it's, you know, taking 10 steps forward, but taking 5 steps back, whereas Michael and Beyonce consistently take 5 steps forward.
Even Justin Timberlake, nobody made those comparisons. When he was at his apex with that last album, what was it, Sexy? When he was at his apex, nobody made those comparisons. And no one else has made the MJ comparison for Bey but her husband. So that for me, I'm waiting to see.
That was also Justin's second solo album. And also NSYNC didn't have as many albums as Destiny's Child did. So he doesn't have the catalog that Bey did.
I brought up Usher's name and even Justin Timberlake's name because at their height, these comparisons weren't being made. They were being, you know, maybe hinted about, but nobody went out of their way to say when Usher was tearing shit apart with Confessions. I didn't hear these Michael Jackson comparisons in the second coming of. Nobody was bold enough to say the second coming of Michael. You dig what I mean? And in my opinion, he was pretty close. Same thing with Justin Timberlake. Mike wasn't Mike with the Jacksons. He was Mike of the Jacksons.
He wasn't Mike of the Jacksons until he was with the Jacksons. he got past the Jackson 5.
Right.
He was
She got
Mike
past-
of the Jacksons.
and she got
He
past-
was early Michael. Then he was off the wall Michael. He was Thriller Michael, and then he was
Legend.
Mike. Right.
Right.
Let her get there.
Considering the source and considering the timing of it, I haven't seen anything to justify, in my humble opinion, that second coming of MJ's statement. She hasn't hit her Thriller yet.
She has.
So you're waiting for that to come from someone else unrelated from other than him.
She's not Memphis Bleak. He's not the only
He's
person
saying to
championing her.
that capacity, and he's kind of right. I haven't heard anyone else say it like
Exactly.
that. I don't disagree with what
And
Jay
I
said,
don't really either.
but
I
to that
haven't-
capacity, no one's else said it.
understand.
Right, being the first to say something doesn't mean you're wrong.
For her husband to say it, it doesn't knock it off the pedestal, but it just kind of like makes you question it, like.
I feel like I'd question it if it were Cassie. I feel like I would question it if it was a lesser artist who hasn't put the work in and the numbers up behind it to prove it. And that's the whole thing.
I
She
agree with
has-
it faster if Cassie said it about Bey. If Cassie had said it about Beyonce, I might be like, oh shit, that's somebody in her lane competing with her.
None of Michael's competitors ever stepped up and said, Michael is it.
No, Stevie said it.
How is Stevie?
Stevie and so did Smokey Robinson.
They're
Stevie
not
and Smokey
Mike.
were not in his lane.
Dude, they were the Michael Jacksons of their day.
Right, but
And they
They were
passed it and gave it
predecessors.
up.
Cassie wasn't
They were-
the Michael Jackson of anybody's day. You're saying a contemporary has to say.
Maybe a critic, a well-known critic, or someone whose opinion is very highly respected.
Gaga has said it. Gaga has sung Beyonce's
Gaga has
praises.
said she's the second coming of Michael Jackson.
If continuing on this trajectory, she has the ability to be in a place where they'll erect statues to her, where they'll perform tributes while she's living. Because Michael is the closest thing we've had to a modern day saint, and he's not of the cloth, it feels very sacrilegious, but it's something that you have to come to terms with. Every so often you're blessed with those beings. Michael wasn't supposed to be Michael. By all fairness, Beyonce is not supposed to be Beyonce, but she is. And in being Beyonce, she's the second coming of Michael. And that's more than a fair assessment, and it's more than accurate. It's impossible to please you niggas, yo. Y'all want Beyonce to moonwalk across the stage at the Rock Nation 25th anniversary, and now be like, oh, well, she got it, nigga. Just appreciate it.
Well, yeah.
We do appreciate it. We're not saying we don't appreciate it.
That was when Mike caught fire.
But nobody appreciated the work that Mike had done up until that point, until the
I
nigga
do not
moonwalked
believe
across
that.
the stage at Motown 25.
I do not
You
believe
don't?
that. I don't think he would have been on the stage in Motown 25 had people not appreciated the work he put
That
in
is also
prior.
true. That is also
Actually,
true.
I don't buy that.
also
hold
true.
on.
Everybody from Motown ever was on Motown 25, nigga.
So, Mike was the only person up there by himself without the fucking Jackson 5.
Didn't he perform with the Jackson 5? Then had his own set?
Yeah, he got his own
Son,
segment.
come
he
on,
had to
he
hold on.
earned that slot.
But he had to fight for that segment.
But he still got it.
But he had to fight
But
for
he
it.
still got it.
People can only fight but so much.
If you win, what's the point? Like, what's the argument? You
No,
win the
that's
battle
not-
that you're fighting. What's the argument?
If you win,
I'm just saying.
you win.
If you lose it, then it's like, all right, well,
So-
what the fuck? Why am I not on the stage?
So
but he won the
because-
battle, and he proved why he should have been on the stage.
So because accolades and recognition are given to Beyonce, she doesn't deserve them.
No, Beyonce
No,
has-
I never, nobody ever said that. This chick is an
Like,
experiment. She has earned
has-
every piece
Yes.
of love and critical acclaim she's
She
ever
puts
gotten.
in the work.
Including being called the second coming of Michael. He's not saying she's greater than Michael.
No,
He said
that's
she's the
not
second
what the
coming.
second
Michael
coming
is
is.
not Jesus. Black people, I'm sorry. I love Michael. But Michael Jackson is not Jesus Christ. She said she's the second coming of Michael Jackson.
Okay.
The second coming of a human being who made music. It's completely valid.
We're out of here because Michael Jackson made a lot more than music, dog. Michael Jackson moved the entire fucking planet. There's a statue to Mike. Come on, dog. Like, stop it. He went beyond
You don't
just a
think
guy
that
who
there'll be a
made
statue
music.
of Beyonce?
Beyonce?
Show it to me. I'm saying it's early.
To call somebody the second coming of an artist like Michael Jackson, in my opinion, like, I haven't seen the things that justify that yet, in my opinion. And you also have to consider the source. Like, this is her husband. If I'm married to a woman who's doing great things that Beyonce is, of course that I'm always going to see it through rose-colored glasses, and it's already phenomenal. Beyonce is already a phenomenal artist. I personally remember what Michael Jackson did to the planet Earth when he was at his height, and I haven't seen Beyonce do that. So to say the second coming, in my opinion, implies that it's already happening.
But the timing of it is all we're arguing. We're not arguing the facts. We don't doubt that she'll do it.
To me, the
it's
argument
when the
is,
comment was
does she
made
have the
prematurely.
ability to
Yes, she
do
does.
it?
That's obvious.
There we go.
So cool. But the comment was made prematurely.
You know, he does know a thing or two about music.
We're not saying he doesn't, but if it came from someone outside of that family,
It's not like her husband was like some insurance salesman who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
No, but at the end of the day, it's still her husband. Like, it's still her husband. My mother is gonna say a lot of nice things about me that a lot of people probably won't agree with 100%, but that's my mother. It won't mean that it's any less true.
You gotta also look at the credibility of Jay. Like, he's not the artist to just say, yo, this is great because it's his
husband.
He didn't say it from an artist
That
standpoint.
changes the
That changes
dynamic.
the entire dynamic
If
of
she
the
would have
statement.
said it before,
But we're
it
not
was
saying
maybe
it's not true, but you have to really take into consideration, like, yo, he put a ring on her finger like she asked him to.
Who would it take to say it before y'all believe it? Does Janet need to say it? Does Jermaine
If
need
Janet
to
said
say
that
it?
shit, then it's sold.
I mean,
Sold.
no, if Janet said it, then she might go change her name to Beyonce Jackson.
We weren't even discussing this shit. We're like, that's Michael number 2 right there.
Let Michael's mom say some shit like that. Anybody in the Jackson family, if they would have passed it off, I'd shut the fuck
Tito
up.
has no.
Say it if you want, Tito. We still
Tito,
got
look, excuse me. Tito,
Anybody but Reby can say it.
Sorry.
Tito can say it. Reby can't say shit. Reby can't say shit.
Wait, why can't we say
Reby
it?
ain't never made an album.
Reby would sell her opinion for a Cadillac and some funny.
Jermaine looks like the Tin Man.
Jay saying it is Jay's supposed to say it. If Janet's saying it, Janet went through that. So that's how you gotta really look at it. Like, Janet went through that whole phase of Michael becoming Michael. Jay wasn't there for that. Of Beyonce becoming Beyonce.
In a year, a lot of things happen to people, so we can't say that yet. You know, you can't. It's too early.